My name is Joy Odiete, popularly known as Jody. I'm a singer, a songwriter, an artist in general. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I got pregnant before getting married to someone I loved so much, and he decided to marry me. I was even surprised. So I was happy and everything was going fine. I went for antenatal and did all the doctors told me. I was a bit late, maybe a few weeks late, so my labor was induced beyond, the labor was not progressing. So I went into an emergency CS, and my son was brought out and he didn't cry for 9 hours. So he miraculously started crying after 9 hours, and he was transferred to, that was a private hospital, was transferred to another hospital. That was a federal hospital, and he was admitted for 10 days. And they said, then after that initial crying and all that for the first day, after that he didn't cry. He wasn't the kind of baby that would cry. He was admitted for 10 days. Even when they cleaned his navel and everything, he made no sound. He was silent. So they told us his severe birth asphyxia had been resolved, but they felt like we should keep an eye on him, which we did with going to the hospital and everything regularly. So they were like, don't worry, he will cry, don't worry, you know. And he had perfect shaped head at that time. Then when he was like 6 weeks or thereabout old, my younger sister noticed a slight depression on the frontal part of his left skull. And I felt like, oh, just routine. Maybe, you know, newborn baby's skull is not so strong. So let's just check it out. So I went to the hospital, and I think we mentioned it to the pediatrician, and he was, what I thought would be just some routine check. I noticed his countenance changed when I mentioned that, and he looked at it, and he was like, I am afraid you would need to transfer you to another hospital to look at this thing properly, you know, because their facility was not into that. He had an idea what it was, but he wanted a hospital that was much more, that would have much more intensive, yes, technology and all that. So we got to this hospital and we started doing tests upon tests upon tests. To cut the long story short, my son was diagnosed with cerebral palsy and lysencephaly. Lysencephaly is smooth brain disorder. It simply meant that his brain did not develop properly while he was in the womb during the 12th and 24th week. As in, basically, point was there were different medical challenges with my son's brain, and they said, you have to brace up. He may not survive his second birthday, or if he lives too long, he may just live till his 10th birthday, and a lot of things. And it wasn't about just the cerebral palsy, it was because of the other diagnosis with the brain. Because, well, they were just speaking from the medical standpoint and from past researches done. But at that point, it really broke me, and from then on, it wasn't easy having that information in mind. And a lot happened in my life, and which I'm not willing to still talk about. Not because I'm ashamed, but I don't know if it's the right time yet. And also because I'm careful, or trying to be careful. I don't know everything. I'm trying to be careful because it involves a lot of other people. So but summarily speaking, I am here. My son is going to be 2 next, is almost 2 years old. And he is growing well. He has not reached the average child's medical milestones yet. For a 2-year-old, he should be walking or, you know, blabbing and talking, saying some words, but he's not doing all that. But I feel a certain peace. I strive every day to do the human part that I can do, and know that God will do the part that God can do. I'm happy that He gave me the opportunity to be the mother of such a special child. Though the doctors said he may not celebrate his second birthday, the doctors are human beings, and human beings can make mistakes. I am not now saying that doctors do not know what they are saying. They study certain things and they predict. But we are not, this whole thing has made me a better spiritual me. We are not just flesh and blood. We have a creator. We have somebody who is behind the scenes, who knows everything, and who is in charge, basically. And this boy has brought me closer to that person. If that person says, my son will live till he's 90 years old, he will live till he's 90 years old. If he says he will live till his 10th, he will live till his 10th. If he says he will live till his 3rd, he will live till his 10th. But the most important thing in all of this is that that boy will fulfill the purpose for which he was born by the grace of God. Just like I am going to fulfill the reason I was born. It doesn't matter how long we live. We are all going to leave this earth. Everybody. We are not living here alive in human form. So it is not how many years you live. It is what happens during that time that you live. That boy may not be able to talk yet. He may not be able to do all that yet. But that boy has changed my life in ways that no preacher or inspirational speaker could have ever done. That boy has made a grown woman stronger. That boy has given many people hope because I post his pictures. I talk about him, and the feedback I get, people tell me, and I know they are not just saying it. They go into my DM. They tell me, Judy, I'm strengthened. Judy, oh, your son, I just love the way you love him. It gives me reason. You know, both mothers with special needs children reach out to me. Even people who don't have, even young people who haven't gotten married, who don't have kids yet, they reach out to me. And it's not about the accolade. It's about the fact that people's lives are being changed. And I can go on, and I hope I don't blab, but it's a feeling I cannot express with words. I feel like crying a lot of times when I think of it. It's priceless. It may not be all joy. I'm not going to say, oh, since I gave birth to my son, everything has been rosy and beautiful. No. Sometimes I would cry. Sometimes things will be difficult. But when I think it is difficult and unbearable, God will just turn things. And I remember again, why am I even worrying? People reach out to me to actually assist me, not just in words, but in cash, in gifts. People have helped. I'm grateful. Before I had Chinua, maybe I had heard about cerebral palsy. I'm saying maybe because I definitely would have, but it never registered. It seemed like something far away. In fact, anybody with special needs felt it's like I only feel compassion from a distance. But since I had Chinua, I realized that they are people. They're just people, just like I'm a person. And my eyes became much more opened to, I became much more aware and more empathetic towards anyone living with a special need. both the person and the people taking care of the person. I have read or heard about cerebral palsy before now, but I never, and as a young girl, you don't go about, it's not because you hate anybody with CP, but you don't go about thinking that one day you would have a child with special needs. It doesn't just cross your mind. You see people that have it, but it's, I don't know, you may just feel, oh, empathetic. Well, that's just it. The average young girl is not going about thinking that one day I'm going to have a special needs, or oh, what will happen if I have. It may cross your mind, but it will be very distant. So Chinua brought it closer to me. And I wouldn't say, oh, I'm happy that my son has CP. I would say instead that I have learned to surrender totally to whatever road that God wants me to take in this life. Travel, because we are all traveling. And I am learning much more to embrace the journey and to make the very best of whatever that journey has to offer. Because in the end, it is not for evil, it is for good. So we are all here, special needs people, able-bodied people, in quotes. We are all here and we are all on a journey. And I'm grateful to be part of this life's journey. My daily routine with Chinua, when he was still very young, you know, wake up early in the morning, quickly clean the house. I wasn't lactating enough, so I had to settle for cow milk. Sadly, I really would have loved to give him, and I tried. Maybe I was also emotionally stressed. Other burdens, you know. Sometimes there were these subtle accusatory fingers pointed at me, and obvious body language from people that I wanted to care for me. Certain people, not all, some people have been awesome. But that immediate contact with people who didn't think I should be cared for, I'm speaking emotionally now, who would throw certain remarks blaming me for things that I did not know about. All those things, I'm sure it was enough. I'm not trying to say, oh, to say, oh, it's okay not to feed your child. Personally, it's a personal decision. I personally would have loved to. It's something I, till tomorrow, wish happened. I'd have loved to give my son breast milk, natural one, till at least 6 months. But all those things weighed me. Maybe all that added, I was depressed and everything, so I never got to do so. So I would carry him in a certain way. He didn't like to stay in the house when he was younger. He had a special case. So I would do all that, and in the night normally wake up and all. It was basically, my life was circling around him for that period of time. Then go to the hospital sometimes and all. But eventually, one day I sat down in the house and I said, no, I want something different from this life. I love my son, but I feel stuck. I want to do more. You may say, oh, what more can you do than take care of your son? But I know what I'm saying, and I would not go further for personal reasons. Maybe when I'm older, I'll be bolder. So I got a nanny at first, and within not up to 48 hours, the nanny I got, she said, Madam, with so much empathy, Madam, I'm sorry, I cannot continue. I empathize with you, but I cannot cope with this boy because he would cry. When he's awake, it's either he's eating or crying. Almost no rest. It was strange. He had his own rules and regulations. He wanted to eat in a certain way, face the sky, and I hold him in a certain way. you know, a lot of, you know, and I didn't know then much about what to do. I was just a young mother trying to, you know, find my way. I got another nanny. This time I got a nanny and a help nanny. That is because you don't say, oh, because you are rich. That was the only realistic thing I could think of, even though I didn't even know how I was going to pay them. The first nanny is the one that would, you know, help so that I can do other things, you know. Yeah. They say, oh, Nikoko. Do other things. Then the second nanny, thank God they had knowledge of all this massage, herbs and all that. See, that is how they were massaging. The help nanny was more into all those things. She would massage, she would talk about herbs, they would do this. I noticed gradually my son started calming down. He wasn't as cranky as he used to be. So things happened. I moved away from that house. Then I moved to my parents, and the other nanny, the one that was staying, she stayed, she was helping. That's how we started following it up. We go to the hospital. At first I was discouraged. I stopped. But after a while, I said, what am I doing? Even if the hospital routine may not work, whether it works or not, just do it. So I started going to the hospital. We'll do that one. We'll go for massage. We'll go for herbs. We go for all of them. And I don't know if it is my effort or the hospital's effort or the herbal effort. All I know is that God is helping me and my son. He's fine. He's eating. Some kids, when I look at I belong to one Oyibo special needs group. I see some of the Oyibo kids. They are not even, and again, I won't say, oh, because, oh, we are doing well. But some cases are more severe than the others. So I don't even know if it's because whether my son's case wasn't so, I don't know. All I know is that he's doing fine and we're working towards continuing along that line and having God to just continue to bless our little effort. Right now, presently, after doing all that routine, I met a parent just by chance, or I say blessed by, maybe not by chance, I do not know. And she told me about a school, that I should try this school. Her daughter goes there and all that. It's a special needs school. I went there in Cerebral, and they told me, you know what, this school is not about teaching ABC. That's not what we do here. We just help them to learn to be more independent as human beings to themselves. So I joined that one to the routine. So now the routine, he wakes up, has his bath, eats, goes to the hospital first for massage. Then we go to school. They do their radiotherapy and everything, physio and all, sing, dance, or whatever. They do all that. He comes home. He eats in school, comes home, eats. We force him to sit because he doesn't like to sit. Force him to sit for a while. Try and ignore his crying sometimes, because if you listen to every cry, entertain everything, he won't do anything. So because of that, I had to shut my ears. We force him to sit. He will sit for a while, you know, open his arms, because his arms kind of, because he's spastic and he closes, well, they advise us to keep it open. So we'll try to open, you know, keep him active. And I notice these days when he sits and he's crying, I take my phone and show him cartoon from the phone, and he will stop crying. So that's, some parents with regular kids will not know what big testimony this is. That my son is paying attention to a cartoon character and music. It's a joy. Anytime I see him watching it, it's like, wow, God, thank you. My son can focus on something. It's a joy for me. I'm grateful. So that's it, basically. That's the routine. So while he goes to school, I do my own thing. I make my jewelry. I, you know, go to studio, do all that, while the nanny also helps in between, you know, and life has to go on. And I'm using this opportunity to speak to people. I don't think, I think I'm blessed. You know, I don't need to think. It's obvious I'm blessed. I have a place, a family to run to stay, to take care of my son, then, you know, yeah, it's good to have your privacy, but sometimes when you're in a communal environment, family large, you know, it has its perks. People abroad will attest to this. Anytime I say, oh, my mom did this, or my nanny did this, or this one, they're like, you have a nanny, you know. And so the perks of having, so I have that grace. But I'm still saying this to people who happen to be having much more challenges than I am with special needs kids, who have it hot, like maybe no support, because some spouses run away. In my son's school, almost 90% of the fathers ran away. I'm using this opportunity to appeal to fathers not to be afraid. Appeal to fathers' families not to support their sons, to treat their wives anyhow because of, they may say it's not because of the special needs. Maybe we are in Africa. Oh, it's a curse. They may say whatever, but they should realize that that special needs child is a human being. They should put aside whatever it is and try. Try. It's not easy. I'm speaking to fathers who are running away, or who have the tendency to, or who, I'm not blaming everyone. I'm not saying, oh, the blame is on you. I'm just appealing, because some people run away sometimes because they are afraid. Don't be afraid. Okay, you are running away, for who to carry the load? Don't use your fear to cover face. Everybody, we are all here, we are all striving. So if you stay somewhere and you really want to get something done, I know the country is tough, but if you want to get something done, you'll find a way. I'm not now saying that we all should hope to have a special needs child so that we'll be in touch with these sides of our emotions, or so that we'll be more aware. No, everybody's journey is different. But if you by chance, because even though medicine is, you know, the medical science is helping people, you know, averting certain things, that medical challenges that would have cropped up if serious tests or checkups were not done. Even at that, anybody can become special needs any day. Some people have accidents and it affected their brain or something, you know. So we humans, as much as we try to, some people will say, oh, you didn't pray when you were pregnant. Oh, you didn't do this. Some things that come upon us is not because we didn't pray. Some things happen, just happens. It's not because you sinned. In fact, oh, I have a lot to say. God, help me, give me the grace to, if you do not understand what I'm saying, maybe this message is not for you, but I'm sure there is someone this is for. Do not feel you sinned, and because of that you have a child with special needs. Do not feel you have witchcraft. Do not feel, as long as you do like this, say, I don't know, where is this from? Just hands up and just do your part. Take care of the child. Just do your part. Do what you can do and keep praying for wisdom, because sometimes what we do to take care of our children may not even be the best. So we are discovering every day, oh, this method would have been better, or oh, okay, I change. Just keep doing your parts. Keep praying. Keep doing what you can do. Everybody's journey is different. And if you don't have special needs, your own journey is different too. But the point is, it's all linked. We are all in a web, sort of. There is this link we all have, whether you have, yes, whether you have special needs or not. But basically, having my son has been revealing to me. It's helped me to be more of a woman than I was before. Helped me to want to learn more. Helped me to be grateful for whatever little actions we do. Stand up, walk, talk. It is, some people cannot do it. It helped me to appreciate whatever unit of action, physical action we ever do. God is great. For my son to sit, it is a big deal. For him to stand, he has not started standing. But that sitting training, to get him to sit, no, special needs, it is well. But it is well. We just, you know, we should be grateful. This talk is not one day talk. We should just be grateful. Wherever we find, whatever challenges you are facing, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Even if you don't know what to do, stay alive. Just try. If you don't know what to do, call somebody. They say when you call people, some people will laugh at you. See, it's better for someone to have laughed at me yesterday and for me to stay alive today. You don't know if you call the other person will be of great help to you. So don't try to be superwoman. If you can't hold yourself again, you are heavy, life is stressing you or whatever, talk to somebody. Talk, pray. If you can't pray, talk or cry or something, but stay alive. Life after Kuchi Kuchi. I was pretty much younger then. Kuchi Kuchi came out in 2010. This is 2018. I was much younger. I just came out of my youth service. I didn't plan to be a star. I didn't plan to, go out and hit and get people. I just was a young girl expressing her art and testing, I just wanted people to hear my song. And it blew up. So I wasn't prepared for that, honestly. So I didn't know I needed to follow up. It sounds funny, yeah? Some people come into the music business knowing what to do. I didn't know how to follow it up, and I had advices. I had good advice, I had bad advice. I think I may not have followed good business advice at the time. But I say that without regret. There are some things that business teachers cannot teach you. There are some things that only time and experience can teach you. I'm a different person. Over time, I'm growing, I'm learning, and it's not something I could have learned from the classroom. I didn't follow up on Kuchi. I did an album, 12 tracks. May not have had the best business direction, but I decided to take my jewelry making more seriously. I got into this love cloud, had a son, got married and all. I didn't follow. If I were to follow all the teachings of my dad, that would not perhaps be the road. But don't give up. Don't criticize me yet. Parents will do what they can. Children may sway how much they can or how much they will. But I believe the Bible that says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. It is true that sometimes they depart, but when he's old, he will remember. So over time, having gone like the prodigal son, gone through certain roads, I keep retracing my steps, and I'm like, oh. And whenever I sway and retrace my step, the teaching is much more solidified. I'm like, oh, this is why I should not do this. So, I shouldn't have done this. And one good thing I have parents who don't hold on to my mistakes. I'm not saying parents should be permissive and, but yeah, they have it's not like they just easily said, oh, you didn't make it. There were times they were a lot disappointed, but they didn't hold on to it. They let it go, and whenever they see I'm going in the right direction, they keep cheering me. See, Joy, Jody, Essie, that's my other name. You are going towards the right direction. Keep doing it, So whenever I sway and come back, I say, oh, this is so. In the process of life happening to me, I'm working presently, and by the grace of God, may it come out soon, because I've said several times I'm working on something, and but presently there are certain songs I'm working on. I know these songs could never have come out from listening to teachings and just singing. They came out from a place of pain and lessons. So I'm working on my music, but this time not with an urgent drive to just win. And it's good to win, but sometimes when you say win, a lot of people want to win without even understanding or knowing the reason why they want to win, or what they will use that win, that elevation, what they will use it for. Then when I was younger, I just wanted to win. I just wanted to be great. But now I'm beginning to know gradually. I have not learned finish. I'm still growing. But at least I know better than before. Why? Why do you want to win? Why do you want to prosper? What would you do with it? What would you use it for? And it makes every little victory now a big deal. It's exaggerated. Every little step I take towards greatness, towards goodness, towards godliness, every little step, not because they told me. And I'm not saying we shouldn't listen to teachings, but because it has internalized, not because that internalized knowledge of, you know, every little step. When I get the little, I call it little, but I mean to say when I get the blessing for that time, when I get that blessing for that time, it has a deeper meaning to me. I can speak forever about gratitude, not because I have made millions yet, but because I realize how small I am. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. I mean that in the fact that we are fragile human beings. We are not in total control of this life. How small I am, and how merciful, and how, you know, graceful, how grace has fallen on me, you know. So I'm still on that journey. I have not given up singing. I do not know if my next song is going to be a world hit. Certain people will listen to this song, these songs, and it will bless them. Be the song, whether the songs are religious or not. Because I have some religious songs, I have some secular songs, I have some songs about, you know. But I know that I pray it hits, because that way you tend to make more money, and I have need for money. That way you tend to make more money. But I don't know how far it will go. It will go far, though, by the grace of God. But I know this one for sure. The song blessed me. This one I want to do this very soon. That song, I sang it, the first time I sang the song, I was crying, I was in tears. I was on my bed, I was crying, singing that song. I sang it, it was a song of lamentation. I know some people are going through pain, and I know that song will soothe some people. So I'm now much more willing to sing even more, not knowing where it will take me, but knowing that I'm meant to sing it, because it's not about me. It's not for just me. Tomorrow I will die, and I don't mean tomorrow, whether 90 years time, I will die. The world will still be going on. So I just beginning to realize it's not about me. Just sing and drop it. If it blow in our Nigerian parlance, fine. If you no blow, the fact that you're alive is enough. Be grateful. The fact that I'm feeding, I have a son. People have been kind to me. Can I mention organizations? Bella Niger, KBK Online, Francisca Omooriri. I can't remember some names, but these three, they never leave my heart. They touched me. I have glamorous. These people showed me love. And sometimes someone reached out to me yesterday, said, please ma, and I'm not saying everybody, some people are scammers. Some scammers have reached out to me. But this one, she reached out to me, said, I wanted to help her. The thing she said she needed, it's not supposed to be a big deal. I just said to her, and I meant it. And I hope she hears this. My dear, not everything on social media is like as it looks. So some people look glamorous on social media, not because they are trying to front, but because they want to, and they do it even though they have challenges. And I bless God for giving me the opportunity to even have that grace to even do it. Some people have so much challenges, they don't even have internet. I'm grateful. So point is, I put up my pictures, I dress up, you know, like I have $1 million in my account. This girl reached out to me and said, see, my dear, not everything you see on social media is the way it appears. But I encouraged her. And I want to thank these people, Bella Niger, KBK Online, Francisca Omoriri, for looking beyond that glam and showing me love. Everybody needs love. For showing me love, I'm grateful. I've told them thank you, but I don't know if it ever would be enough. And that's it. I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and I still see myself as a child, even though I'm getting older.
My name is Tobila Bajayi, and I like to call myself a disability management advocate. I'm also a 3-time published author, and in my other life, I'm also a law graduate who holds a master's degree in international law. So, simple definition, cerebral palsy is a disorder of movement and posture that occurs as a result of damage to the developing brain, sometime during pregnancy, during delivery, or within the first 3 years of life. Well, basically, cerebral palsy, like I said, is damage to a developing brain. So anything that can damage a developing brain can lead to cerebral palsy. So things like jaundice that is untreated in a newborn or a baby, badly treated fevers, badly treated measles. In pregnancy, if a woman has rubella or even malaria in pregnancy that is transferred to the fetus, anything that could lead to brain damage. So, for instance, sometimes some form of hydrocephalus could also result in cerebral palsy. So pretty much anything that could damage a baby's developing brain can lead to cerebral palsy. So your causes are as wide as possible. Cerebral palsy is manifested based on the parts of the brain that is damaged. So basically, cerebral palsy will damage the part of the brain that controls muscles. But you know why that's interesting? Everything that your body does is done with muscles. So your ability to blink your eyes, for instance, is muscles. Your ability to swallow, your ability to use the toilet, your ability to do anything that you do, basically, is muscles. And so it's classified in different ways. There are, when you're talking to medical professionals, based on their fields of medicine, they will classify differently. It's actually cerebral palsy where you will have, this child is too soft. You hear parents say, this child is too soft. Basically what they're trying to say is, child is floppy. And then there is the type of cerebral palsy that causes what we call the jerky movements and the unsteady gait. So basically, cerebral palsy will manifest in different ways in different people. If you have 15 people with cerebral palsy, you will see 15 different manifestations. A lot of people with cerebral palsy have a mixed form. So there will be some stiffness, and then there will be some unsteady gait, or there will be some floppiness, and there will be some inability to speak. So depending on the part of the brain that is damaged, you will see the manifestations of cerebral palsy. Many options available for cerebral palsy differ as the condition differs. So disability management options for CP are built per child. So based on the manifestations that you see in the child, you will build a management option. General guidelines will include things like physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, sometimes hydrotherapy, and of course, we would also build an educational plan for each child. Now, we do not have a national disability law yet. I mean, recently, there was this whole noise about where is the disability bill. Thankfully, it has been found. And the Senate President did promise that in 30 days from about 2 days ago, it was going to be harmonized and sent to the President for assent. Let's wait and see how that goes. But for instance, in Lagos State, the Lagos State Special Persons Law that protects the rights of people with disabilities in Lagos was passed in 2011. I don't think anybody has really tried to use that law in court to test it, to see the efficacy. So I think, like I said, I think it's both sides of the coin. Yes, the government has not done enough in terms of policy. Like I said, we don't have a national disability law yet, and we're in 2018. But even in the states that the disability laws have been passed, I really don't think that people use it as much to kind of get government to be accountable to the law that they have passed. So for example, I mean, one of the things that the Lagos State Special Persons Law provides is that there should be priority seating for people with disabilities in public transport. So for example, in Lagos, what we call the lag bus, right? Priority seating does exist in lag bus, but how many people with disabilities will actually insist that priority seating should be given to them? I know someone who takes pride in the fact that every time that she takes a lag bus, she sits in priority seating. It does not matter who is sitting there. She is going to go there and make a scene until people are like, are you to stand up and let the artist sit down? I mean, but then for her, it's like, it's there. I'm supposed to be able to access this thing. And I need to be able to stand up and say that I have this by right and I should use it. And so she does. So one of the big misconceptions that I have found is that people with cerebral palsy are supposed to be stupid, quote and unquote. So you're not supposed to be intelligent, because I remember that people always seem to get really shocked when I open my mouth to speak. They're like, are you sure you have cerebral palsy? And I'm like, your diagnosis of mine, why are you dragging it with me? Like, it's my diagnosis, I know what it is, but oh, but you're too intelligent to have cerebral palsy. And I'm like, I don't get it. Where's that coming from? So I see that there is a preconceived notion that people with cerebral palsy are not supposed to be intelligent. There's also a preconceived notion somehow that cerebral palsy is contagious. I don't know where they got that from. So you see parents of children without disabilities not wanting their children to associate or play with children with cerebral palsy, especially those who have like very obvious physical manifestations like drooling or, you know, eyesight issues and stuff, thinking, I don't want my child to catch it. And I'm thinking, sorry ma, it's not measles, your child can't catch it. And then there's also there's also again, we're a very religious society, right? So there's always that preconceived notion of, this person definitely offended God. And I don't want the offense that they offended God. I don't want their, the sins of the people to come upon me. So let me avoid this family, because obviously they must have offended God for God to give them this kind of child as punishment. So you have that whole preconceived notion of it being like maybe a curse or because you've offended God. And that's also it's perpetrated also by our religious institutions that treat people with cerebral palsy especially like candidates for deliverance or, healing crusades, things like that, instead of actual, participating members of congregations. And so that kind of continues to perpetuate that, a lot of the misconceptions that go around. I mean, another misconception, very interesting, that I found, and this is in my work as a disability management advocate and the chief responsibility officer for Let's CP Kids Learn, is that a lot of people assume that children with cerebral palsy cannot learn academic curriculum. And that shocks me, because I'm like, where did that come from? So a lot of children with cerebral palsy are actually kept out of the educational system because it's just assumed that they're not able to learn that kind of content and that they cannot cope, whatever that means, in the classroom. I'm the current Chief Responsibility Officer for Let's CP Kids Learn, an initiative that I started in 2017 to promote inclusive mainstream education for children with cerebral palsy in Nigeria. In 2016, I was a Mandela Washington Fellow. In 2015, I was a Yali Regional Learning Center Fellow, West Africa. Between 2013 and 2015, I wrote and published 3 books. Like I said before, I hold a master's degree in international law from the University of Hertfordshire. I obviously then hold a degree in law, and of course, I was called to the bar in 2008. Okay, so as a disability management advocate, I specifically advocate for inclusive mainstream education for children with cerebral palsy, which fosters acceptance, inclusion, education, and demystification of the condition. Thank you.
I'm Dada Flavio Lawali, a graduate of international law and diplomacy. I went for NYC. I went through the man of war exercise, walk on the rope. I did the endurance trek. But normally the first belief is that someone with cerebral palsy can be educated. I got married to someone without CP, a beautiful lady. One of the challenges we have in our society is the case of acceptance. For example, I just have the case of an Ibadan lady. She had marriage in view, but somehow they gave birth and the child turned out to be a cerebral palsy boy. And the next thing, the fiancé said, for the marriage to materialize, he had to dispose, he used that language, dispose of the boy. Another issue we have is infanticide. We have mothers killing their CP kids because of financial stress, discrimination, and stigmatization that they face in the society. I advocate for inclusion, public display of acceptance, association, and affection.
I'm Gbenga Artsmith, the CEO of Gbenga Artsmith Collections. We're a jewelry brand, but we're also socially conscious. So many people have asked me why this campaign for cerebral palsy. Number one, March is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and secondly, as I already said, we're a socially conscious brand. But the key reason why I'm doing this campaign is because it strikes home. My older brother lives with cerebral palsy, so I understand the struggles he has gone through. I understand where he's coming from. I'm using the platform that God has given to me, the gift God has given to me, to advocate for support of disability law, make sure that these laws are efficient, they are working, they're not just on paper, to make sure that people show more empathy towards people living with cerebral palsy and other disabilities.